Today I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about the times of the day that you can run your race and how that is going to change things for you. All right, before we get into the video today, let's go ahead and give an update on Charlie. His numbers are improving quite a bit, which is good. He's been keeping up with roughly about a 3-day-a-week schedule. We'll put up his 5K time here to see how it's been improving. And, so far I'm pretty happy with how he's been keeping up with his training. Nothing too extravagant, but it kind of goes to show you that it doesn't have to be extravagant to make good improvements. So now that we got that taken out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the different reasons to choose what time of the day you want to run and how those will impact you. Okay, and now on to the points. These are going to be quick little points to just give you a quick idea of the differences in the different times of day you can run the race and what it's going to mean for your race. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on each one of these. All right, so first off, the heats or the waves that the races will have. Most of the races will have an elite or a competitive wave. In the case of Spartan, an elite and competitive wave, run in that order, before they run the open waves. And so if you're the kind of person that likes to have that competition, or if you're already a very good runner, you already run marathons and this is something you're trying out for the first time, then you might want to think about signing up for elite waves. If you're really trying to push yourself against the other competitors or push yourself against the course, that's where you want to put yourself. If instead you're more interested in running with a group, you're not the fastest runner, and you're more about just the experience and trying to get out there and trying it for the first time, then the open waves is probably better suited for what you're going to be running or how you're going to be running. All right, next is the obstacles. This will also play a little bit of a role. Throughout the day, the obstacles will get muddier and dirtier. So in several of them, they are actually easier to do during the earlier parts of the days. So the ropes will develop mud. The mud will cake the obstacles and make them more difficult, more slippery, and just something to take into consideration. So if you have trouble with the obstacles, you might want to try to sign yourself up earlier than later. Even if you're running in the open waves, sign up for a morning open heat. And that way you try to get some of the cleaner obstacles. Maybe you'll have a more successful race that way. All right, and then on top of the obstacles, the track or the trail that you're running on will oftentimes change throughout the course or throughout the day or even the weekend. The track, take Montana for example. When I ran up there, the first day we ran in the competitive heat, so we were within 2 or 3 waves of the first people to run the course. And a lot of it was overgrown, and we were riding down little trails that you could barely get through. And so a lot of people were single filing it, where when we ran on Sunday, the second day for the sprint, the trails had widened up because we had had so many people run through there that things had smoothed up and widened out so that it was easier going on the trails. So that's something to think of too. All right, and then it's on to the weather. The weather, of course, can be unpredictable almost anywhere. In the case of, say, the Colorado race, when we were running Colorado Springs last year, in the morning it was foggy, no sun out at all, or at least could not pierce the fog. It had a good wind going on, and with the temperatures in the mid-40s, by the time you added the wind chill factor, we were down into the 30s. Which wasn't a problem until you got to the dunk wall. Thankfully, that was toward the very end of the race. There was only about another mile and a half left. But things got pretty miserable after that dunk wall when you fully submerged yourself in that kind of weather. Where when I talked to the runners, a few friends of mine that ran afterward, they said that the weather cleared up. The sun came out around 11 o'clock or noon after I was already done and back at the hotel. They were running and had a lot nicer of a race. So one thing to think of is where you're going to be running and what the weather's going to be. If you're going to be running in a place like Colorado, but you're from a place like California where you're used to the nicer weather, then maybe you want to run later in the day so that the temperature's more akin to what you'll be used to. In my case, I like to run earlier in the morning, one, for the competitive wave, but two, the weather is generally cooler in Montana. That worked out to my advantage. It was a very, very warm day for what I'm used to, so running in the morning, it was nice and cool, and I was able to run longer without overheating. Something to keep in mind. You know, it's really hard to predict what it'll do, but at least you can kind of guess or pick, hopefully, whether you want the cooler temperature in the morning or the warmer temperature in the afternoon. All right, and the last point I want to talk about is your finish time and your travel time. I'm going to lump these together because I believe they go together. If you're a slower runner, depending on how slow you are, of course, you might want to opt for the earliest open hit wave you can go for. Or in some cases, if your travel time doesn't permit, if you have to be home and you have, home the next day and you have a large distance to travel, then it might be worth it just to sign up for the competitive wave, even if you're not a competitive runner, just to make sure you get to that race so that you have enough time to finish and get home with enough time to get whatever you have done, or whatever you need to get done anyway. And that is something you need to think about, is how long it's going to take you to finish the race. If the travel time isn't necessarily in your way, then maybe it will be the finish time. Maybe you're going to need extra time. I have heard of several people doing these as a way of trying to motivate them to get into shape where they are severely out of shape, not just sort of out of shape like some of us have let us get, but really severely life-changing and have taken 8 hours to do a single sprint. And in that case, you do want to plan to start running in the day. Now, I doubt anybody's going to be watching this video that's going to require that kind of time, but there are certain races. If you're running a beast, for example, that race there will take it out of you and may take longer to finish than you expect. So that's never a bad thing there. Just something to keep into consideration is how long you think you're going to take to finish, and making sure you allow yourself enough time so that you're not finishing late in the day, if you can help it anyway. All right, well, I think that'll conclude pretty much all of the points that would affect what time of the day you're going to be running. Next week, or for next video anyway, if I get it out next week, hopefully this one's, of course, running a bit late, I'm going to change things up, and I'm going to turn it more into a vlog, get rid of the educational videos here, and move into a vlog that's talking more about my journey into running the world's toughest mudder at the end of the year and the different races I'm going to be running this year. Kind of make it a just make it a vlog of training, dieting, and how the races go, or leading up to the races. We'll see how it goes. If people like it, we'll keep it up. Well, we'll probably keep it up anyway, but hopefully people will like it. All right, until then, we'll catch you next time.